Alright, you lot. Battlefield 6 ain't just melting CPUs, it's frying neurons and faith in real time. I just watched a 14900K choke so hard it nearly filed for workers' comp, while a squad of console troglodytes stared at enemies like they were waiting for subtitles. This wasn't just a beta, this were a post-mortem with matchmaking. And before you say, oh, yeah, I tested it myself. My Series X ran smooth as butter in Octo. My rig recorded 4K, Chrome tabs galore, Discord chat, background blow you'd need task manager therapy to clear, and still hit 170 FPS. So what's everyone else's excuse? Like, subscribe and all that bollocks so I don't have to start Patreon just to afford a replacement GPU after this thing devours it alive. Because Battlefield 6, this game don't optimize, it accuses. It points at your CPU like a Victorian school teacher and makes it run laps until it wheezes blood. Only thing getting revived in this game is your BIOS, and even that's running scared. Let's talk code. Battlefield 6 is built on Frostbite, and that engine's now held together with caffeine and cowardice. I've seen more elegant thread handling from a Yorkshire tea towel. RL is a 14900K, that's flagship Intel Silicon mine, being reduced to 3.2 GHz during low settings at 1440p. That's not optimization, that's digital waterboarding. Poor sod even undervolted, killed thermal boost, and still had to kneecap his own performance just to keep game from setting fire to his laptop. Then there's 12500H user, clean config, dual channel RAM, RTX 4060, no background crash, and it's running like it's rendering entire Pacific Theatre on potato. Meanwhile, his laptop handles Cyberpunk 2042, Master Hunter WoWs just fine. Only Battlefield 6 turns it into a slideshow stitched together with suffering. Don't worry, desktops aren't safe either. 8700K crew are lining up like war veterans trying to tell their stories. I turned off shadows, mate, still lagging. OC to 5 GHz, still runs like a goat on ice. All cores pegged, frame rates stuck in molasses, and some Reddit genius always replies with, just upgrade. Upgrade to what, mate? Large Hadron Collider? And before you think this is PC only tragedy, we've got Series X's crashing to desktop mid-match, overeating in menus, and randomly shutting off completely. And what's EA's response? Strong and confident? No tweet, no forum post, not even a patch note placeholder. Just, if it works for you, congrats. Now shut up. This wasn't a beta. This were a benchmark test for how long your system can scream before it begs for mercy. Let's talk about real bottleneck. It ain't your CPU, it's your team. I dropped into a breakthrough match on Series X, expecting chaos, explosions, maybe odd tactical push. What I got were a human screensaver convention. Teammates stood staring at enemies like they'd just been told to solve math problem in a hostage situation. No revives, no flanks, just digital mannequins soaking up bullets and offering zero utility. And this were good console mine, one that's supposed to outperform. No crashes, no frame drop, ran like a dream. But what's point of performance if you're surrounded by brain-dead meatbags running in straight lines and dying in corners? It was like watching Call of Duty cosplayers try to play Armour. No wonder EA keep dumbing these games down. Cause if this is what console player base brings to table, you'd be better off solo queuing with bots and half-charged controller. We used to fight wars in these lobbies. Now it's just therapy sessions for undercooked reaction time. You can tweak settings all day, you can upgrade hardware, undervolt, monitor your frame timings at nanoseconds, but you can't fix stupid. Battlefield 6 is crawling with it. Here it comes. Lie, gaslight, gospel of denial. It's your rig, it's your settings. Try DLSS, try Framegen, try undervolting. Have you checked your drivers? No mate, I've checked engine, and it's a burning skip full of broken threads and missed deadline. Battlefield 6 don't need a config tweak, it needs a full autopsy. We've seen it again and again, users with flagship CPUs getting throttled harder than teenagers' bandwidth on a school night. Laptops melting down, consoles crashing mid-match. Even when it runs, solution isn't real performance. It's AI smoke and mirrors. OP said it himself, I can get 200 FPS with Framegen, but I don't want AI garbage smoothing over garbage. Worst bit, other players take this abuse and blame themselves. You got people on Reddit threads saying, maybe I should just upgrade, after the brand new GPU gets mugged in broad daylight by this game. One bloke bought a full new PC just to run Battlefield 6. Another sold his old one to cover costs. That's not gaming, that's tech Stockholm syndrome. And while player base turns itself into unpaid QA, EA sits in silent. No patch note, no roadmap, just thanks for playing beta, while your fans scream like jet engine and your rig sobs under 100% CPU load. This is what happens when community is too patient and devs too silent. They create a vacuum where broken games get normalized and user becomes patch. But let's dig up real corpse in this story, Frostbite. This engine should have been retired 3 Battlefields ago, but EA keeps slapping a new code to marketing gloss on its rotten carcass like it's Weekend at Bernie's. Every time they push it forward, they break it worse. Frostbite were never made for this. It were built for cinematic destruction in single-player shooters, not sprawling online chaos with 128 players, AI bots, vehicles, and sweaty teens bunny hopping through sniper fire. You can't retrofit an engine like this for live service future without ripping out its guts. And EA? They never did. They just kept duct taping new systems into thread-starved scale incompetent framework. It bottlenecks every CPU unless it's one of 3 exact unicorn setups. It collapses under thermal pressure on console. It mismanages RAM like it's allergic to memory efficiency. It runs menu harder than most games run combat. That's not just sloppy, that's foundational rot. And every dev who's had to wrestle with this beast knows. That's why original DICE team bailed and formed Embark, studio behind Finals. And what happened? Finals runs smoother, feels sharper, delivers destruction that don't set your PC on fire. Because it's built by people who understood what Battlefield used to be, and what it's now failing to become. Frostbite ain't just outdated, it's technical equivalent to digging a trench with a spoon while EA insists it's a shovel made of diamond. And its final boot up ass. Battlefield 6 didn't just expose a broken engine, it exposed 2 whole ecosystems of failure. On one side you got EA, still jamming content into a copter and engine like they're trying to inflate a bouncy castle with an amp pump. On the other side you got a community so used to being bent over they thank devs for it. Players are undervolting CPUs, disabling features, tweaking voltages in BIOS just to get frame rate that don't feel like a PowerPoint. Others are buying all new rigs for a broken beta, and Western's fanboys saying it runs fine for me, as if that erases tidal wave of posts screaming opposite. You're not just customer anymore, you're debugger, canary in silicon mine, unpaid QA tester duct taping your hardware so some executive can pretend game shit clean. See, it's takeaway. Battlefield 6 is a technical abomination with a user base too distracted to demand better. If you're running it smooth, you're not standard, you're exception. If you're crashing or throttling, you're not broken, game is. And if you're still blaming yourself for a game cooking your rig or surrounding you with meat puppet teammates, then it's time to stop tweaking settings, start raising hell. Join Discord, follow on X, links are in description. Consider a channel membership if your CPU's still alive. Smash like it, subscribe, drop your comments and questions below if you made it through a match without punching your monitor. And I'll see you next time, you magnificent.